Today we're going to be discussing the clarification work that Nicole McKelvey-Walsh, the Deputy Division Director at Casey Family Services Hartford, was able to do with a young lady receiving permanency services from CFS.
Hi, my name is Nicole McKelvey-Walsh. I'm the Division Deputy Director in Hartford, and I'm going to be speaking to you today about Sarah. Sarah is a 19-year-old female who was referred to Casey for permanency services. Sarah had lived in a pre-adoptive home from the age of 4 to the age of 18. 1 week before Sarah's birthday, she was asked to leave the foster home by her parents. Sarah was never adopted by her long-term foster parents because they felt that they could not manage her behaviors adequately. When I met Sarah, she was very confused about who she was and where she was headed in life. She did not really have a clear understanding of how she entered foster care and the circumstances of what had happened to her while living with her mother. Sarah agreed to allow me to go to DCF and review the record. After going to DCF, we reviewed the case file, and what we found was that Sarah's mother had suffered from postpartum depression, and her depression was untreated. We were able to also find that Sarah had lived in a foster home from 18 months until 4 years old. This foster home seemed to really care about Sarah. I was able to contact the previous foster mother. She immediately remembered Sarah and told us that she had many fond memories of her and that she had lots of pictures. We met her, and she gave us a photo album filled with lovely pictures of Sarah when she was young and of her mom, because Sarah's mom used to visit at the foster home. These pictures were then shared with Sarah. She was delighted. She had never really seen pictures of herself before as a toddler. Sarah was very, very anxious to meet her previous foster mother. We had them to the Casey office, and we sat down. We talked about what had happened, how Sarah came to this foster home. The foster family was able to share beautiful stories about how they would go and visit a farm, how Sarah loved horses, she loved to play with dogs and cats, and to see Sarah smile, it was truly amazing. This foster mother told Sarah that even though they had been disconnected for a number of years, she had always thought of her over the years and really wanted to remain a part of her life. Sarah was thrilled to know that she now had a place to visit on Sundays for Sunday dinner. Sarah was actually in the process of moving back to the community where the foster parents had lived, and they were very eager and anxious to show her around town, help her move, help her buy things that she needed as she would be moving into a group home shortly. As comforting as this was for Sarah to meet these foster parents who she had lived with, Sarah still had many questions about how she came into foster care. We were able to do some searching through the internet, and we did find Sarah's birth mother. I was the one who made the initial call to Sarah's birth mother. When I called her, she had indicated to me that she had been waiting for this call her entire life. She said that she always knew that someday someone would call her about her daughter. Sarah's mother explained to me that she suffered terribly from postpartum depression, major depression, and anxiety. She had very little support, no family to help her out, had been homeless for a number of years, and also battled with substance abuse. Sarah's mother, however, had been clean and sober for the past 14 years, and she couldn't wait to see her daughter. Sarah's mother was able to share many photographs with us, pictures of Sarah when she was an infant, when she had come home from the hospital, and as a young toddler. These were all pictures that documented Sarah's life before being removed. Sarah's mom willingly gave us the photographs, and we then shared them with Sarah. This was very, very difficult for Sarah. Sarah had always been told that she was an abused and neglected child. However, when Sarah looked at the pictures, she saw a happy, healthy, smiling baby. We then had a great deal of work to do with Sarah, helping her understand that her mom was only 19 years old at the time she was born, what that was like to have no family help, what it was like to struggle with a depression that went untreated for so long. Sarah began to understand these very complicated issues and really had a desire to meet her birth mother. So we were able to get them together at the Casey office, and it was truly extraordinary. Sarah was a clone of her mother. They looked exactly alike. They even had the same haircut. It was amazing. And it was difficult. However, Sarah really seemed at peace to hear these words and hear the story from her mother, that she was loved and she was always thought of. Her mother even told her that she stopped celebrating Christmas. She never celebrated Christmas or would ever give out candy at Halloween because she felt if she couldn't be with her daughter, she would not celebrate these holidays that she viewed were for children. This was very moving and very powerful for Sarah to hear, and in many ways healing. Obviously, this was the first step in a longer process for both Sarah and her mother. Sarah moved into a group home, which wasn't the perfect situation. However, she moved into the group home with a lot more stability and support. She now had a foster family, a previous foster family, who were willing to support her and help her and be there for her, and she also had the support of her birth mother, who encouraged her to be involved and get as much as she could out of the DCF system as possible. An important part of Sarah's clarification work was to help her understand what had happened. Why is it that Sarah lived in a pre-adoptive home from the age of 4 to 18 with never being adopted? As we looked back into the record, and as we talked to the pre-adoptive parents, what we understood was at the age of 4, when Sarah moved into their home, she had become very rageful. Sarah began to have long periods of crying spells where she would bang her head, she would yell, she would scream, and she would become completely unconsolable. Sarah would not allow her mother to nurture her in any way. What you must understand is that Sarah at age 4 didn't understand what happened to her. She had previously to this lived in a very loving and nurturing home for 2 years. When she moved into the pre-adoptive home, she didn't understand why her family had been taken away from her. Sarah's family sought out help in the community. They went to see a well-respected therapist. This therapist diagnosed Sarah as having reactive attachment disorder. She told the pre-adoptive parents Sarah would never attach to them, and that the best thing they could do for Sarah was to raise her in a long-term foster care situation. They didn't understand that Sarah had been a traumatized child and was just trying to make sense of what happened. Sarah's story helps us understand the importance of children in foster care understanding their own personal history and story, no matter how difficult or painful that may be. It is important for us as professionals to ensure that all children in foster care obtain a legally permanent family and be able to maintain all important connections in their life.